Go ahead, Kenny.
Well, I was just telling you about a law that has been repealed apparently in the Supreme Court of California, addressing the homelessness situation in, I believe it's the Los Angeles area. They were having a problem with homelessness of sex offenders in that area. So apparently they have repealed a law that states that they're just getting out of prison and they're on parole. And I believe that they can, if they can prove homelessness, then they have repealed the law that they do not have to live within 1,000 or 2,000 feet of a school, daycare, resident, places that children frequent. Now, I'm not for sure on all the exact limitations on that, but I believe that that is a step in the right direction of possible reform, and we've got to get that. We've got to get that news out, and people just don't want to hear it.
California is pretty liberal. We really need to pay attention to some of the changes California make, because they are certainly moving. They certainly moving in the right direction when it comes to policy change.
I agree.
So, you mentioned something about church. You know,
church
it blew my mind about having to get a letter to attend from the pastor. Like I had no idea.
In the state of Oklahoma, to attend church as a sex offender, you have to get a written letter from the pastor stating that he is aware that you are a sex offender and that you are allowed to go to church at that
church.
Who
do you give this letter to?
Pardon?
Who do you give the letter to once you get the letter?
You have to give it to the Department of Corrections.
And if they catch you in church without having a letter from the pastor,
then you're in violation of registration with the state of Oklahoma as a sex offender.
Interesting. Now, is this only for people on probation and parole, or is it for everybody?
On the registration. Level 1, level 3, as far as I know.
Now, knowing that everyone accused of a crime is not guilty of the crime accused of, and everybody who signs a plea deal is not guilty of whatever they sign that plea deal for, and knowing that those that lose cases at trial are not always guilty of the charge that they lost in a trial. So, like, knowing that everybody is not always guilty of the accusation, and yet the church, if I'm not mistaken, is a house full of sinners, then why is it different for people on the registry in comparison to any other sin or crime?
I mean, what happened to freedom of religion? Where'd that go?
I guess we expelled, since we have certain charges. Does that ban us from practicing a particular religion? Like, I'm not understanding this Oklahoma law here. It's another form of racism and oppression.
Yeah, I mean, I went there to the point to where I got to start feeling uncomfortable because I had already spoken to the pastor. He had approved me to be there. He said he would write the letter. He never got around to doing it or forgot. So in fear of violating the registry, I had to stop going.
So if they don't want you there, he just simply don't write the letter. Now, if you attend church, knowing that, you have or you carry certain stigma, like, how would they, does the pastor call, and say, hey, I have someone here on the registry? Like, how does it work? Because I know no one's sitting outside monitoring to see if you go to church or not.
The only way that I can figure it out is if the residents or the people that are going to church realize that you're a sex offender and they feel uncomfortable about it, they would probably approach the pastor and then the pastor would probably ask me to leave. As far as how DOC would find out, if my vehicle is parked at that church and they come by and they run the tags, which being a former police officer, I can tell you that happens because they look for expired tags. When people leave, they will follow them, they will pull them over. And if they see that my vehicle's there because it's on the registry of what I drive, what color, what kind of vehicle it is, my tag number, and then they realize that this church is also within 1,000 feet of a school or within the safety zone area, they're going to get me.
It still don't sit right with me. I mean,
pops up sex offender, and then they could go in and talk to the pastor to see if I have a letter.
You know, it reminds me. It reminds me of the one of the on one of the Bible stories where, you know, and I don't know all my scriptures. I don't know scriptures by heart, but it was a group of men ready to stone a woman. She did committed adultery, and Jesus said, "Okay, pretty much in my words, for those of you who've never committed or did anything against, you know, or those of you who think you perfect, write your name in the sand. Those of you who have never sinned, write your name in the sand." And everybody started dropping the rocks and walking away. It's like church is a place for everybody to get themselves together. You know, whether it's me getting myself together from, you know, some sins that I'm trying to stray away from, whatever those may be, you know, but
it's supposed to be a place of refuge,
right.
To be able to practice freedom of religion.
Mm-hmm.
Not
I believe it's something else too that say, thou shalt not judge, or, you know, don't judge, you know, let God do the judging, you know, so.
Not yet ye be judge yourself.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That just don't seem like that should be an enforceable policy.
Well, most of it's unconstitutional, but they don't care. My lawyer told me in court because I brought up constitutional issues because I had the right to witnesses for me, and I was refused that. Well, thing is, the lawyer told me that in a court of law, the Constitution isn't nothing more than a piece of paper that you can wipe your rear with in the court of law.
Agree. Agree. Well, Kenny, once again, it was nice chatting with you.
You too, bub.